Yeah, Boris Johnson's always been known as a bit of a king of comebacks, really, and it's, I think, surprising that this is really the sort of the scandal that's kind of dragged him down. I think it's partly been a sort of long time coming. When you talk to Conservative MPs, they say it's really sort of the latest in a long list, and actually, there's various things the government does that they criticise, but really they think this message of it's one rule for them and another for the government is the one that's really cut through, and that started with the Dominic Cummings Barnard Castle affair and with Boris Johnson standing by Cummings for another 8 months, continuing through to the sort of Matt Hancock scandal, then the Owen Paterson scandal, and now finally the Christmas parties in Downing Street scandal. So really, it's quite sort of surprising it's maybe taken so long for some of the sheen to sort of come off Boris Johnson, but it feels like now voters are maybe angry enough that even in North Shropshire, for example, Conservative MPs and people who've been up there canvassing say, yeah, it's not looking great for us. Yeah, Conservative MPs are very wary that they are very much making this scandal worse for Boris Johnson. They know that the Conservative Party is in a difficult position when it's briefing against each other, and all this talk of people putting in resignation letters is driving the story. It's making people more interested. It's making the Prime Minister's position more unstable. So they're very wary that if we're carrying down this path, they know that there's a sort of a need to act on all this. They don't enjoy doing this kind of thing. They just want to make sure that ultimately, when it gets to the next election, the MPs that I'm talking about save their seats, make sure that there's a big enough majority in the Commons that the Conservatives will remain in government. So it's difficult for a lot of Conservative MPs to speak out, to brief against their leader. But it's a journey that some of them have been on for quite a long time. And actually, if you look ahead to the vote next week, particularly on the issue of kind of COVID passports, this idea that you're going to have to prove with a negative test result or your vaccine status to gain access to certain events, that is really riling up A, some members of the cabinet, but B, also some of the more junior members of the government. And so there's understood to be at least 6 or so PPSs, that's the sort of first step on the ministerial ladder, who are considering their position, trying to get away from the vote. They've put in applications to try and miss the vote, to, for example, go to North Shropshire to campaign for the day, just because they do not want to have to vote with the government and therefore either, face the wrath of their constituents or, vote against their conscience, or the alternative obviously is to lose their jobs.